What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be doing a little bit more of a critical deep dive on the 2021 Volkswagen ID.4, and I'm going to be talking about my top 5 things that I think Volkswagen should take a serious look at as they progress forward with the ID.4 as a whole. Now, I think the ID.4 is great. Let me just say that outright before we even get started. I love the look, I love the feel, I really like what Volkswagen is doing here. There's just a couple things that I think that they need to focus in on going forward. And the fact that I can only come up with 5 things, really making an effort to do so, means that they've done a pretty good job off the bat. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the first one is a little bit controversial because I think it's a double-edged sword. It's a good thing and a bad thing here. And that is just how weighty everything is in the ID.4. Now, everything from the just heaviness of the doors, trying to open and close them, to the, massive thud that they make when they shut. Listen to this thud. There's some serious weight on this thing. To how heavy the vehicle feels overall, you could perceive this as really solid build quality. And I'm not saying that it's not really solid build quality. I'm just saying that it feels like it weighs the car down and makes it less zippy and agile than it could be with just a little bit lighter of a feel. Now, I like having nice solid doors. It makes you feel safe, and having these, nice, heavy, bolstered seats and all that kind of stuff. It's great. I think it's a good thing more than a bad thing. I really feel like Volkswagen could find a way to make the ID.4 feel a little bit more agile, a little bit lighter on its feet, but still maintain that solid Volkswagen build quality that they're known for. Now, number 2, maybe something that only really stands out to people like me that are kind of into cameras or into resolution and pixel peeping, but it is this rear vision camera. It is just not high res enough for this class or this price point, especially if you actually make it full screen by swiping the parking sensors away. It's blurry. It's just not that high res, and I think Volkswagen could have done better. They can do better, and they could fix this backup camera pretty easily going forward. And another thing I really think they should add is the option for a 360-degree overhead view camera system. You just don't have that on the ID.4 here. No 360-degree camera system at all as an option. So fix the backup camera, make it higher resolution, and go ahead and just give us a 360-degree system. You know you can. Let's go. So number 3 has to do with this little display cluster right here. You're basically your digital dash as far as the ID.4 is concerned. Now, I don't have a problem with the fact that it's mounted to the steering wheel. I think that's actually probably a pretty good design choice, especially because it keeps everything pretty clean and minimal, whereas you don't, it's pretty much just dash back here. You don't have any like locked in screens or anything like that. So I don't have a problem with the placement of it necessarily, but I do have a problem with the angle it's at. It's at a pretty steep angle here, and there's no way to adjust it. I think if you could pivot it a little bit or tilt it backwards or forwards, it would become infinitely better in its use case. Because there's certain positions when you're driving, especially with this panoramic sunroof up top here, where the sun's going to shine through and it's going to shine directly onto that dash. And the fact that you don't have a little, shade over it like you do on a normal car, and the sun just beams right at it from every angle, and you don't have a way to adjust it, it can just become straight up hazardous by just glaring straight back at you, or just making it hard to see and hard to use in general. So just a little bit of adjustments there. Even if you put the adjustments down here at the base of the steering wheel, where you could just kind of lean it back, lean it forward, or kind of pivot it side to side, I think would be a huge design benefit and make this thing a lot better than it already is. And one more little thing I think they could change on this display cluster is just the lack of customization options. You really only have 2 views that you can see. The one with the speed display, your battery remaining, and kind of which safety systems you have on, with your travel assist on the far left side in a tiny box, or you can swipe it over and it kind of just like splits the screen, and that's it. You can put a couple other little pieces of information on the screen, but you really don't have a lot of customization options at all here on the ID.4. So maybe a couple other little different menus you could see, maybe one that shows you, how efficient you're being with your battery. Things like that would be a really nice kind of little adjustment to see, especially on an EV like this. I have a 2022 Chevy Bolt EUV. If you guys are interested in that whole process of me buying that recently, definitely check the card above. But that has some really nice customization on the screen where you can actually see how much energy you're using and drive more efficiently that way. You don't have that option here on the ID.4. And with an EV, that's kind of a nice thing to know, right? So maybe a little bit more customization would go a long way here on the digital cluster. Now for number 4, let's move over to the infotainment screen here. Now I absolutely love this version of the infotainment system from Volkswagen. I love the look of it. I love the graphic style. I love the high customization with the ambient lighting and being able to completely change the look of the home screen and all the button icons and things. It's excellent looks-wise. Functionality-wise, it's pretty good too, but my biggest gripe is just how laggy the system is. And that just should not be the case on a 2021 all-electric primo new nameplate for Volkswagen. It just shouldn't be like that. And Volkswagen has a pretty responsive infotainment system history. This is an anomaly for them. And I don't know why this one is so bad. And I've seen some similar reviews on like the upcoming GTIs and other vehicles that use this same system. Everyone has the same complaint. It's so laggy and just not responsive. And I'm not really sure why. I guess you could attribute it to this software being in kind of its early stages, but come on. It's a user interface on a car. It's just not responsive, not fluid, and a little bit clunky at times. So that is definitely something they could easily fix with a couple software updates. So I expect to see that going forward. And the fifth and final thing that I really hope Volkswagen adjusts in the future versions of the ID.4 is the Regen Braking. Like I said a little bit earlier, I have a 2022 Chevy Bolt EUV. That not only has a one-pedal driving mode where when you let off the acceleration, it automatically slows down, but it also has a Regen on-demand paddle on the back of the steering wheel you can actually squeeze, and the Regen will start happening automatically, whether you're braking or not. Not only does the ID.4 not have any kind of on-demand Regen system, no paddles, no buttons, no nothing, you can't force it to regen at any time, but also the one pedal driving mode or braking mode that it does have up here, the grip that the Regen Braking has, which is kind of a bad way to say it because it's not really actually braking or reducing the speed. It's just spinning in reverse. So kind of calling it grip is a little bit wrong, but the feeling of the brakes engaging that you get with that Regen system is so weak on the ID.4 that it almost feels like you can't use it in a normal driving situation. Because even at low speeds, if you want to start coming to a stop, you can let off the pedal and you will eventually start slowing down, but it's just not enough to really be a fun experience with that one pedal driving mode, or something that I would see myself using on a regular basis if an ID.4 was my daily driver. It's just not good enough. So I really hope that they fix that going forward, or maybe make it so you can adjust the strength of the Regen braking, or just slap a little handle back here, or maybe a button on the back of the steering wheel, or something like that that you can use as an Regen on-demand system, or just a more grippy and effective regenerative braking system. So just something to keep in mind. I really hope they fix that, because that is the main thing that I don't like about driving the ID.4, is just how weak the braking mode is, or the one pedal driving mode. It's just not up to par with some other vehicles out on the market. All right, so real quick, I'm just going to give you guys kind of a little demo of what I'm talking about with this Regen braking. And I'm going to compare it to my 2022 Chevy Bolt EUV, since that's my daily driver and I know kind of what that's like. I'll have a little timer on screen so you guys can see how long it takes for the ID.4 to come to a stop, more or less, from 20 miles per hour versus the EUV. So let's go ahead and start with the ID.4. All right, so we're going to just take it right out here. Let's go ahead and put it in braking mode. All right, here we go. All right, I'm at 20 right now. I'm going to start letting off. About 7 or 8 seconds there. You know, this is obviously not scientific in any way. All right, so once we get on this straightaway, all right, here we go. 23 miles per hour, 24 starting. Yeah, so about like 9 or 10 seconds. So I would say like a median would be like 8 to 9 seconds to come to a complete stop. You know, you're not completely frozen, but more or less. Let's switch over to the Bolt. Alrighty, so now in my 2022 Bolt EUV, let's get this test going. I'm not gonna use the Regen grip, I'm just gonna use straight up one pedal driving. Let's get it to like 23 and go. Five seconds. Do it again. So you can just see it's noticeably grippier when it comes to a stop, almost half the speed that it takes the ID.4. And the ID.4 is a heavier vehicle overall, so you'd think it would take less time actually to come to a complete stop with all that weight and gravity pushing down on it. Now let's try using the Regen on demand. That's like 3 seconds. It's crazy. It's a big difference is all I'm trying to say. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like on the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think about my list? Is there something that you hope that Volkswagen changes on future versions of the ID.4? Let's have a conversation down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.